and welcome to Myth Monsters. My name is Erin and I'll be your host for these little snack bite-sized podcasts on folklore and mythical monsters from around the world. These podcasts focus on the actual cryptids, folklore and mythic monsters from global mythology, rather than focusing on the full stories of heroes and their big adventures. I'll also be dropping in some references that they have to recent culture and where you can see these represented in modern day content so that you can learn more and get as obsessed as I am about these absolute legends of the mythological world. It's the second episode of the new year and new season, and I'm preparing for a big holiday. Literally, it's the night before I go, right as I record this. It's an interesting time to go, but I'm off to the US for 2 weeks next week, and don't worry, I have pre-recorded 2 episodes to cover you whilst I'm away. If you're in Orlando and you spot me, please feel free to say hi, because I'm truly a glutton for punishment and I truly love walking marathons around Disney World apparently, and it might just take the mind off of the feet for an instance. Anyway, moving on to this week's episode, which is actually a New Year based monster. So we are heading on over to beautiful Japan to look at a beast known for inspiring some of the grossest Pokemon. A hybrid dream eater, the Baku from Japanese mythology. The Baku is described as a chimera type beast. If you're not sure what that means, it means a hybrid mashup of many different creatures to make up one, just like the chimera from Greek mythology, which I've covered in another episode, by the way, if you're interested. This monster is made up of the body of a bear, the head of an elephant, the eyes of a rhinoceros, the tails of an ox, and the legs of a tiger. They are usually described as being as big as elephants, however, they are just spirits, so they don't take up any physical space in reality. Despite their monstrous appearance, Baku are revered as powerful forces of good, and as one of the holy protectors of mankind itself. Baku watch over dreams and act as guardian spirits, where they feed on the dreams of humans, specifically bad dreams and nightmares. Evil spirits and yokai, which are Japanese demons, fear Baku and flee from them, avoiding all areas inhabited by them, and so health and good luck follow a Baku wherever it goes. However, this creature isn't all great. If you summoned it to help you with your bad dreams, if it was still hungry afterwards, it would consume your good dreams, ambitions and hopes, and would leave you hollow and empty with an unfulfilled life ahead of you. So it would be a risk whenever they were summoned. The Baku came about through a legend that said the gods had a bunch of spare animal parts left from when the gods were finished creating the world's actual animals. So they threw them all together to create this beast, and so it was considered to be in favour of the gods because they all had a hand in making it. You could also ask the Baku for preemptive protection against bad dreams, and it was common for Japanese and Chinese children to have protective talismans next to their beds in the shape of Baku to protect them against nightmares, much like the dream catchers from Native American tribal culture that we are all familiar with over in the West. Now, I've gone over their powers a little bit already, but they were known as dream eaters, be that good or bad, and as spirits who were not physically tangible. You wouldn't bump into a Baku on a night out, they would only appear when summoned, and would generally kind of wander at night, listening and waiting to be called upon for a fresh feast of nightmares. You could do this by repeating, "Baku-san, come eat my dream," after a nightmare, but again, you run that risk of having your ambitions eaten too. Because they are all spirits, we are not entirely sure how they die, or if they die, or if they have a method of reproducing, although we do know that they are a mythical creature species rather than a singular being. So we don't know if they are already brought into existence or if they are born from 2 Baku. Now, moving on to etymology, the word Baku is Japanese and very literally means tapir. You might be wondering, that sounds like the weird four-legged creature with the long nose that I see in zoos. And you would be absolutely correct. That's the exact tapir I'm talking about. The one you're thinking of, yeah. The one from your local zoo. That guy. There is a reason for this, and I will get into it later. For their history though, it is a little bit more interesting than this. Mainly because they were, as I kind of mentioned earlier, originally a Chinese mythical creature before they went over to Japan. Originally, this was seen in around the 9th century China, and they were known as the Mo, or very literally, giant panda, which we now know of course, where they were believed to ward off evil spirits and sickness from families, and it was also used as that decorative talisman within architecture and home furnishings, including those talismans and folding screens in bedrooms. They were very often printed across them. When the legend did eventually go over to Japan, which a lot of them do interchangeably move between Japan, Korea and China, in the 14th and 15th centuries, it hopped on over across the sea where it was then adapted. An early 17th century Japanese manuscript, the Sankai Ibitsu, describes the Baku as a shy Chinese mythical chimera with an elephant's trunk, rhinoceros eyes, ox tail and tiger's paws, which protected against pestilence and evil, although eating nightmares was not included amongst its abilities. However, in a 1791 Japanese woodblock illustration, a specifically dream-destroying Baku is depicted, with an elephant's head, tusks and trunk, with horns and tiger's claws. They were most commonly found in shrines, temples and carvings, and can still be found to this day as well. Later in 1902, it was described as also being able to devour nightmares, which added that kind of risky, dangerous part of the folklore to it. Outside of the risk factor of them eating your hopes and dreams, the Baku's written name and image have been used as symbols of good luck in talismans and charms throughout Japanese history. Baku images are commonly carved into the pillars above temple doors and on the columns supporting the temple roofs, and that is an honour that only a handful of holy creatures get. Children are also still told to place a picture of Baku under their pillows on the evenings between January 1st and January 2nd, as the legend says if they have a good dream that night, they will be lucky for the whole year, and the chances of having a good dream are reportedly enhanced by calling upon Baku, and this tradition is called Hatsu Yume, or the first dream of the new year. During the Muromachi period, which was around 1337 AD to 1573 AD in Japan, it became really popular for people on their deathbed to hold a Baku talisman to ward against evil spirits as they passed over. They also became associated with a very famous mythical ship in Japan, the Takarabune, which often had a Baku painted on its sails. The ship was sailed by the 7 luck gods through the heavens on the 3 days following the new year, and you would place a wooden block with a painting of the ship on it underneath your pillow, and if you had a good dream, you were lucky for the year, and if not, you had to dispose of it within the river. You would just chuck it in. Then, later during the Edo period, which was 1603 AD to 1868 AD, pillows were actually sold in the shape of the Baku, said to protect the sleeper from bad dreams. And you can still find these in Japan, but they are just often in the shape and design of a tapir. Which leads us into that reality. The Baku does resemble a tapir and shares the name, which isn't the first Japanese monster to do so, with the kirin meaning giraffe and having this long-necked monster with the same name attached. I have covered them in another episode, just as a heads up. We're not entirely sure if the tapir or the myth on the monster came first, although there are arguments that they are completely disconnected and it is just a coincidence. But either way, we know they're not talking about the tapir we see now, but maybe one that is long extinct. I will say that the Baku are still a very popular figure in modern Japan. The Baku appears in loads of modern media, although recently they are starting to look more and more like authentic tapir, and less like the folkloric chimera-like hybrid that we know here. A fun modern media fact before we get to it, just to reflect on the ongoing popularity of the Baku, is that there are 2 Pokemon based off of these. Well, technically there are 4, but 2 of the same types. We have Drowsy and Hypno from Generation 1, and Muna and Mushana from Generation 5. Both of these species are fully confirmed to be inspired by the Baku, and they both look like a tapir, and they steal and eat dreams. They are both gross, and I will hear no different. I'm sorry, but they are my least favourite, and I love Pokemon. We also have a few mythical comparisons here, but nothing that eats dreams like the Baku, just the ones that work with them. We have Morpheus from Greek mythology, the god of dreams, but he mostly manages and creates them rather than taking them away. He also works with his sister Care, who is the goddess of nightmares, whose shadow lurks over dreams she selects and then she twists. Morpheus is in a bunch of modern media too, mainly in Neil Gaiman's The Sandman series, and I will actually be covering The Sandman as a separate episode later this year. There are also the night hags from European folklore, but these are just monsters who sit on you to invoke nightmares. They can be found all across, really, the world in terms of folklore, and they do just kind of cause them rather than eat them. And lastly, the incubi and succubi, who are biblical monsters who sneak into your dreams, mate with you, and then steal your reproductive liquids for their own babies. So they kind of do dream stuff too. I think they're the kind of edgier one. I have done episodes on both of these two already, so if you're interested in night hags or incubi and succubi, have a look. We have got an episode about them somewhere. Now, on to modern media. We actually have a few bits for this monster specifically, which is pretty cool, but I have interwoven them with dream stealers and eaters from media to fill this out too. For art, have a look at the Japanese tapestry art for this one, which typically don't have names attached, so have a look at independent art with this one too. In movies, we have Crypto-Zoo, Strawberry Shortcake, the Sweet Dreams movie, The City of Lost Children, The Golden Child, Dreamscape, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, Inception, and Twice Upon a Time. For TV, we have Gegege no Kitaro, How to Keep a Mummy, Charmed, Lost Girl, Monster Rancher, Ultraman Ace, Heroes, Doctor Who, Pokemon, Super Sentai, Hell Teacher Nube, Power Rangers, The Wheel of Time, Digimon, Dream Eater Mary, Hello Kitty, Sailor Moon, King of Bandit Jing, Urusei Yatsura, and Kamen Rider. In video games, we have ones such as Pokemon, Neverwinter Nights 2, Get Amped, Dreams, Final Fantasy, Cross Edge, Animal Crossing, Dragon Age, Them's Fatten Herds, Look Outside, Neo 2, Flight Rising, Rayman, Lusternia, Dual Hearts, Spyro the Dragon, Dreamkiller, Ghostmaster, The Battle Cats, Ayakashi Romance Reborn, Dark Chronicle, Kokoron, Tsukihime, Death Smiles, Paradius, Dark, Genshin Impact, Yokai Watch, Touhou Project, and World of Horror. My book recommendations this week, as always with Japanese monsters, is to have a look at Hiroko Yoda's Attack series, such as Yokai Attack or Yurei Attack, as these are really great books for all of these Japanese yokai, as well as The Book of Yokai by Michael Dillon Foster for some really great summaries of this part of the world's monsters. But now it's time for Do I Think they existed. I'm probably going to say no for this one, honestly. And whilst I'm usually against saying a hard no to spirits, this one is a little different because it is so fantastical. I do, though, think this monster is quite cool, and I hesitate to actually use the word monster, although I do think the consequences of using this monster can be quite monstrous sometimes. Also, what I will say is, how can you tell before you summon it that it's super hungry and then it will steal your dreams too? Is it a gamble that you might get a Baku with a big appetite? Or do they send you one when you ask too many times? It's so risky. What I do love about Japanese mythology is that they think of everything. Every creature, every spirit you can imagine, they have got a monster for it. Did I think that a creature out there that looks vaguely cute and like a strange zoo animal could steal my hopes and dreams? No. And also, I hate that. What I will also say is that the 2 Pokemon species that are based on them are very literally my least favourite Pokemon, and I do actually hate them. I do believe that whilst every Pokemon is someone's favourite, including the weirder ones, I think if they're yours, you actually need some help. And I don't trust you, or believe you, in fact. And I think that if you're into sleepy Pokemon, that's your vibe, go like Snorlax instead. You creep. Anyway, I'm an avid bad sleeper, and I've suffered horrendously with nightmares and night terrors my whole life. I sleep with a dream catcher, and I still have nightmares, so maybe I need to change over to a Baku talisman and see how this helps. Although, I'm not sure I want to risk losing my ambition, but I think general life in the modern age steals that enough from me already. But what do you think? Did Baku steal dreams of old-time Japan? Let me know on social media. I would love to know what you think about this one. What a fun, but also slightly horrific monster this week. I can't get the idea of the Mooner out of my head, and I truly do not want them to steal my dreams. How do people in the Pokemon world sleep at night with that running around? That's my real question. But I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did, and you're pondering on that as much as I am too. Next week, we are heading on over to Africa for the first time in ages, and we're going over to not just a specific part, but literally almost every country in the continent for this one. Get ready to make some wishes as we visit the goddess Mamiwata next week. For now, thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a rating on the service you are listening on. I've got loads of social media for any questions or suggestions on what monsters to cover next, and I'd really love to hear from you. The social media handles for TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are Myth Monsters Podcast, and the Twitter is Myth Monsters Pod, and the blue sky is Myth Monsters. But all of our content can be found at mythmonsters.co.uk, and you can also find us on Good Pods, Buy Me a Coffee, and Patreon if you want to help me fund the podcast too. Come join the fun though, share this with your pals, they might love me as much as you do. But for now, stay spooky, and I'll see you later, babes.